Hey gang, this is Simba. Welcome back to another episode of the Lions Den Crypto. I would just like to first say happy Monday. Hopefully everybody had a wonderful weekend. I know I did get a chance to go touch some grass, which is much needed. I know we can get stuck in the charts and stuck on the blockchain, but it's good to go and actually experience real life sometimes, right? Otherwise, we're just all going to be machines. If you guys ever watch The Matrix, you know what happens. You spend too much time in the digital world, you might just get stuck in the pod. But with that said, guys, let's take a look at the market and some of the market moving news for Monday and see what is going on. Right, I know this weekend, these last couple of days, we've seen some reds. Right, this was something that we had mentioned that we're going to start seeing some retracements, especially after that crazy, ridiculous run that we had prior, right? Really sending us to some ridiculous green candles. Now, if we kind of take a look at the crypto bubbles, let's take a look at the daily. There's a lot of red, right? We're seeing a lot of these tokens that had run up really start to do some retracements, right? As we try to find those support levels, right? So we don't see that much green, but again, when in doubt, always zoom out. If we go down to the monthly, right, to the monthly chart, this month has been absolutely phenomenal, right? We have a lot of tokens that have went up 200%, right? 50% looking at hype. Even Ethereum itself for the month is up 50%, right? Even after that, the last 2 days of really seeing some red. But the market, after a strong run, a strong move to the upside, it always needs to come and do some retracements to really find those supports and resistance, right? And this is where the market, this is what a free market is, right? To determine what is the appropriate price before we really start to make more moves to the upside. But look at this. As we look at ETH right now, let's just jump into the ETH chart and some of these major tokens to really gauge where the market is. Because as we know, Ethereum, it first leads the Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin is the big daddy Bitcoin. Once Bitcoin starts to move, that's just it also reflects in the overall market. But when it comes to altcoins, it's really Ethereum. When we start to see Ethereum move, then we really start to see altcoins move, and then from there it's meme coins and then NFTs and whatnot. But all I'm trying to say is the market is like a frequency. The market is like a wave, right? It's like a wave. So starting from the top down approach is really when you can see the full picture. But with that said, let's take a look at Ethereum. Really looking at the weekly chart, right, from the last bull run in 2018. Actually, the last bull run was 2021. We really rose up and went to that 4,000, almost $5,000 price point, right? We did retrace down to 800, which would have been $1,000 for Ethereum, which would have been a great deal to get in, by the way. And then ever since then, if you're really DCAing, dollar cost averaging into Ethereum and a lot of these tokens since the end of the 2022, right, or about July 2022, when we reached some of these lower prices, you would be up, right? You would have made massive gains because we're definitely up from here. Right, let's just jump into the daily. The daily, after that run starting in April, we had a really humongous run, right? Almost going up by, yeah, going up 50% plus, right? And that was really about 1400, and we just had a green arrow, right? Just going up and really hit this resistance with the 200 moving average, right? Keep tabs on this 200 moving average, because we're going to see this in a lot of these other charts. That 200 moving average is really acting as a resistance right now for a lot of these major tokens, right? So with that said, this green over here is really that 50 moving average, right? And this blue is that 20 moving average, right? And they're still holding up pretty well. They're still holding up pretty well, and I think we might possibly retrace down to about 2,100, 2,100, maybe to kind of see that test that support. before we go higher. But in the long run, I'm bullish. Right, the market just does not go in a straight line. Unfortunately, it still needs to make some retracements here and there. So I'm bullish, right? I'm bullish. We're going to see some red after, especially after some huge runs like this. But this is only momentarily. And again, right? Let's take a look at Solana. Solana is looking very similar, right? The market also ran the chart for Solana also started to run in April, but has also reached this 200 moving average, which is acting as a resistance again, right? It's acting as a resistance. I'm hoping that you can see this as well, but this is the 200 moving average, right? And it's acting as a resistance right there as well. And a lot of these major tokens, right there, we're not only seeing that for Solana, for ETH. I believe we might, yeah, it's something that you can see in a lot of these tokens, right? Now for Sui, this is kind of the reasons why one of the reasons why I might be more bullish on Sui is really Sui just broke that 200 moving average. Did not even waste time, right? Right, actually turned that 200 moving average into its own support, right? And from there, it just continued to rise up. This is much better looking than the Solana chart, which has actually, has been stopped by that 200 moving average. But either way, I think they're going to do phenomenal work. Same for Virtuals. Virtuals is looking well as well. Hedera, these kind of, reached that resistance. But regardless, we're bullish. This is only momentarily. There's just so much money, so much inflow into the crypto market that we're going to be just fine. But with that, let's kind of move into some of the market moving news. This one I thought was pretty good to see. Right, this is the new Ethereum proposal. New Ethereum proposal wants to make running a node easier and cheaper, and I think this is phenomenal, right? I've always thought that the best way to run a node would just be on a device that everybody has, and that just has to be a cell phone, right? Eventually, we would have to move towards this direction, right? And I think this is what's happening. So the new design would eliminate the need to store a full copy of the Ethereum blockchain, making node operation accessible to the average user, right? The new approach would also let nodes track only data relevant to the user while verifying other information on demand. And this is really aligning with the Ethereum's latest Spectra upgrade, with the goal of making nodes lighter or lightweight enough to run on consumer devices, right? So this Spectra upgrade has a lot of things in it, but to kind of see this, I think this proposal is going in the right direction. The direction I thought, how most nodes should go, right? Most people don't really have a PC, right? Especially with the storage of 1.3 trillion or TB storage. That's a lot, man. Most people are just walking around with their cell phone, right? And they don't have the ability to run a node on their phone, right? And nodes being decentralized, right? If we want a decentralized blockchain, we need to have as many nodes as possible, not just in the few that have these powerful computers, right? And enough storage for this, right? So I think this is phenomenal. This is great to see, and I hope more of the blockchains can also kind of limit or at least reduce the size so we can truly have decentralized blockchains. Otherwise, we're kind of stuck with big players who have big enough computers and money to really have that kind of storage, which most people do not have, right? Especially in third world countries in which everyone just has a cell phone, right? So I think this is good for decentralization, right? Let's jump into the second highlight that I saw today, which I thought was very intriguing. This one was Bitcoin 2025 first to attempt the Guinness World Record for most Bitcoin transactions in a single day. So this is great. BTC Inc. and BTC Media LLC, the leading provider of Bitcoin related news, and the organizers of the world's largest Bitcoin conference announced today that it will be the first to attempt the Guinness World Record title for the most Bitcoin point of sale transactions in 8 hours. So this is phenomenal, right? Bitcoin Magazine and Bitcoin News are, some of the leading news when it really comes to Bitcoin, and they want to set this record, right, to really show that merchants and to can use Bitcoin as a form of payment, right? They're trying to push that narrative, which I think is also ideal, right? Bitcoin can be more than just a store of value. It can also be used as a currency as well, right? And Bitcoin 2025 is an opportunity. This is a quote. Bitcoin 2025 is an opportunity for the community to demonstrate Bitcoin's real world functionality as a medium of exchange. So I've been looking forward to this on May 27th through 29 to really see this conference in Las Vegas and to see if they're going to beat this record. I think if they do, it's going to make a lot of headlines, right? And of course, we've seen merchants and some of the stores and restaurants. We just saw what Steak and Shake really adopt Bitcoin as a form of payment. So now you can pay with your Bitcoin to get some Steak and Shake, right? Get some Steak and Shake on the side, right, with your Bitcoin. So that's going to be phenomenal. I believe they will be using the Lightning Network as well to make that possible. So yeah, keep your eyes on this news. I hope that they break it, because I think this is going to be positive news for Bitcoin moving forward. Because as it is right now, most people just view it as a store of value, right? And really not a form of payment. So we'll see. That's going to be a very interesting one to keep your eyes on, right? Good job by the way, by the Bitcoin Magazine. They're doing phenomenal work, right? And this one, I'm kind of moving on to WalletConnect. WalletConnect, right, is really a great company. These guys have been doing phenomenal work. I've been in Web3 for a long time, but WalletConnect Smart Session to redefine wallets UX for the future of AI agents, right? Last week we kind of spoke about, I think the future of transactions, especially on-chain transactions, are going to be mostly AI, especially AI agents. The number of most of these transactions on chain, most of the wallets on the blockchain are really going to become from AI agents, right? Because AI agents will be doing business on behalf of humans. Even think about the real world, right? I think we're moving towards apps, or even Grok or Siri, where you can just talk to your AI agent and say, "Hey, can you get me some Uber Eats? Hey, every week or every month, can you, I need this in my fridge, a box of eggs, right? Some milk, some bread," and they will go and actually put out those orders for you. So we're seeing that in the real world, right? And then now, when we're talking about the blockchain, now these AI agents having wallets, they'll be doing business on your behalf. And we're talking about DeFi. We're talking about doing trading for you, right? Just normal day-to-day business, in which you're just gonna give it the goal or the instructions, and it will do that business for you. And WalletConnect is really diving deep into that. So, in brief, WalletConnect founder Pedro Gomez has outlined his vision for a seamless, intelligent on-chain world powered by AI agents, communicating through smart sessions, which I think is great. They're definitely going in the right directions. Now, smart sessions are a new standard that will redefine wallet UX for the AI-powered future of the internet, Gomez wrote. And WalletConnect claims to have enabled over 300 million seamless, secure connections for more than 45 million users worldwide. So they do have a huge user base for a wallet, right? And they've been here for quite some time as well. Let's just take a look at their website so people know what we are talking about, right? There you go. If you've been in Web3, you've seen this logo before. They're definitely doing a phenomenal job, right? And yeah, with that said, also let's take a look at their token, which is the wallet. Let's just show. WalletConnect token, right? Let's start a look at the daily candle, 4 hour. So they've done phenomenal, really launching in April of 2025. It looks like that's when the ticker was live, and they had an incredible rise. Right, they had an incredible rise coming from 20 cents, really going to about 68, almost 70 cents, and then followed by a downturn, just like most of the market did as well. But they're looking strong. They're looking strong, especially coming back to touch their all times high and really retracing again. Coming from that almost 70 cents, almost, or 66 cents, coming back down to about 50 cents. But now I think they're looking strong, especially with that AI narrative that's coming on. Looking bullish, and this support, it looks like it's holding very well. I think they're going to do well, and I haven't seen that many wallets really have that foresight to really improve their UI, at least start to design the wallets for the age of AI. So this is one to keep your eye on. I think they're going in the right direction and actually thinking ahead from most of the wallets that I see in Web3. Phenomenal work by Gomez and the team, right? Yes. And another really last piece of the story for today, which I thought was interesting: El Salvador's Bitcoin stash sees a $357 million unrealized profit as BTC starts to test its all-time high. Now we know that El Salvador has been one of the leaders when it comes to a nation adopting Bitcoin as legal tender. They have been the number one, right? And their president has really been buying and has been relentless about buying Bitcoin for his people, for the nation of El Salvador. And he has really been getting heckled and attacked by this global, let's say the IMF. Right, the IMF has really been hounding them, but he does not care. He says he was going to keep buying more Bitcoin, and to see El Salvador in profit. I think they're about 124% in profit since they started to buy Bitcoin, right? And they continue to buy Bitcoin. This success of El Salvador, I think, is going to have other countries taking a look at the Bitcoin strategy, right? The Bitcoin having a Bitcoin reserve, and we've seen nations start to adopt this, right? In the U.S., we have seen states already adopt a Bitcoin reserve, right? So this is phenomenal to see. Big congrats. I think El Salvador, they're already in the history books, right? They are already in the history books for starting this trend. Big ups for President Nayib Bukele. He's absolutely awesome. So with that said, guys, that is all I have for you today. Actually, let's take a look at the Bitcoin right before we end it for today. Again, Bitcoin is really nearing its all-time highs. We were actually very close to reaching that all-time highs this weekend. There was a really nice push to the upside where we reached 107,000, right? Most people thought that we were going to start really blasting off to all-time highs, but we did retrace. This is where a lot of traders really lose their money, right? When the market is in sideways. When it's sideways and it's not going up, it's not going down, right? And when you try to make these short trades, you really fall into the traps, right? Let's say some people would have bought over here and put a stop loss around here thinking that it was going to break out, but it was a trap, right? So that's why I like to mostly trade on the higher time frames, because I can see the full picture, right? I'm still 50-50 on whether the price will retrace a bit more, especially after this big huge run. The worst that I can see is for Bitcoin to really drop down to about 91K, really test this major support. But at the same time, right, we have these moving averages that are really holding the price up, and even the 50 moving average and the 200 moving average is just right around the corner, right? But there's just so much bullish momentum for Bitcoin. It's really hard to see it now just continue to run up. Yes, this even looking at the global M2 supply, everything is as bullish as it can be, right? Every time I see red, for me, it's discount, right? Because we see what the global M2 is looking like. We see the amount of inflow of money into the Web3 space and all this innovation happening. Like the more red that I see, just like more opportunities for me to buy in at a cheaper price, right? Before things really take off. But anyways, with that said, everyone, have a wonderful rest of your day. Take care and stay bullish. Much love. Bye bye.